episode 483 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. We'll be talking about tonight's episodes of WWE Friday Night Smackdown, the go-home show before tomorrow night's WWE Payback Premium Live event, and AEW Rampage, which is also the go-home show before this Sunday night's AEW All-Out pay-per-view. Right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hello, Wrestling Fanatics. Thank you for tuning in tonight to 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 483. Lance Brock here with you on this Friday night. Hope everyone had a great Friday to start off this pro wrestling weekend we have ahead of us. Going to be talking about SmackDown and Rampage tonight, the go-home shows, because tomorrow night is WWE Payback Premium Live event, and Sunday, the AEW All-Out pay-per-view. Let's get into tonight's episode with WWE Friday Night Smackdown, live from Hershey, Pennsylvania, at the Giant Center on Fox. Our commentators tonight, Michael Cole, Kevin Patrick, and Corey Graves. On SmackDown tonight, we started things off with the returning John Cena. Cena cut a pretty good promo here, I thought, to start off SmackDown. Talked about how he's going to be back for a while. Talked about how he will be wrestling in India. And he says he found this out just before SmackDown went on the air tonight, that he will be the host of the Payback Premium Live event tomorrow night. So kind of a last minute addition to Payback here tonight on SmackDown. And he is interrupted by Jimmy Uso making his return to Friday Night Smackdown. And Jimmy pretty much says that nobody cares about Cena. They're here to see the star Jimmy Uso. And Cena kind of fires back at him here. And he says the wrong Uso quit. And then Jimmy goes to hit him with a super kick. Cena ducks it and then hits him with an attitude adjustment. I wouldn't be surprised if not too far from now we end up seeing a match, John Cena versus Jimmy Uso. That could be possible since Cena is sticking around for a while. As of right now anyway. Our first match of the night, we have the LWO, the WWE United States Champion Rey Mysterio, and Santos Escobar taking on the team of Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. I thought this was an alright tag team match to kick off the in-ring action on SmackDown this week. And the finish of this match is Waller pinning Escobar to get the win for his team. I'd say 3 out of 5 ring bells for this one. Not a bad match, but it was still pretty good though. Again, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller victorious. Escobar still selling the knee injury from a couple weeks ago. And next up on SmackDown, the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn take on the other 2 members of the LWO Latino World Order, Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. Pretty good match here. Owens and Zayn get the win. I'd say 3 out of 5 ring bells. Once again, pretty good tag team match. I'm going to say anything real special, but still pretty good though. And Shotzi Blackheart taking on Bayley, along with Damage Control, Dakota Kai, and the WWE Women's Champion Io Sky. Not bad here. Shotzi getting the win. I'd say 2.5 out of 5 ring bells. Shotzi's hair growing back a little bit. And then Charlotte ends up coming out to make the save. And in the back, we see Jimmy Uso get in the face of Mia Yim, or Michin, I should say. And then after, we see her with the OC, the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, with the phenomenal AJ Styles. And AJ Styles gets upset when he hears about this. He gets in the face of Jimmy Uso, and Jimmy pushes him. Styles pushes him back and knocks him down. And then at this time, Styles is jumped from behind by Solo Sikoa. And Solo tells Jimmy that you are out of the bloodline when we say you are out of the bloodline, and walks off. And we get an interview backstage, Kathy Kelly with AJ Styles, and he says he wants Solo Sikoa in a match tonight, and that is this week's Friday Night Smackdown main event, the phenomenal AJ Styles taking on the enforcer of the bloodline, Solo Sikoa. I thought this one was a pretty good main event. Solo with Paul Heyman in his corner. These two have a good match. Solo gets the win with Jimmy Uso getting involved. I'd say 3.5 out of 5 ring bells for this week's SmackDown main event. And that was tonight's Friday Night Smackdown. The go-home episode before tomorrow night's Payback Premium Live event. I thought it was pretty good. And as a rating for a show overall, I'd probably say 7.5 out of 10 ring bells. And now it is time to go over to TNT for AEW Rampage, the go-home Rampage before this Sunday night's AEW All Out pay-per-view. All Out was taped this past Wednesday night in Chicago at the Now Arena. And our commentators tonight, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and Chris Jericho. We kick things off with the Tag Team Battle Royal, where the winners receive a shot at the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships this Sunday night at All Out. And this one I thought was actually a pretty good Tag Team Battle Royal. Maybe not the best Battle Royal ever, but I thought it was still pretty good. And I'd give it 3 out of 5 ring bells. And surprisingly, this one is won by the Dark Order, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds. They are now the number 1 contenders for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships, and they will challenge MJF and Adam Cole, the team known as Better Than You, Baby, this Sunday night at All Out, live on pay-per-view. And now we see Aussie Open go over to the announce position and attack Chris Jericho. And then Sammy Guevara comes out with Floyd the Bat to make the save, chasing off Aussie Open. On Wednesday night, Jericho said that him and Sammy Guevara are gonna go for the AEW World Tag Team Championships now, starting next Wednesday night on Dynamite. And I guess Aussie Open had a problem with that. Tag team action is up next. Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford and Gringo Loco take on Nick Wayne and El Hijo del Vikingo. I thought this one was quite a fun match, actually. Vikingo pins Gringo Loco to get the win for himself and Nick Wayne. I'd say 3 out of 5 ring bells. This was a very good, fun, entertaining match, I thought. And Hangman Adam Page is in action next, taking on the bounty hunter Brian Keith. And not a bad match. When I say real great, though, I'd say probably 2.5 out of 5 ring bells. Hangman Adam Page gets the win here. And in the back, the remarkable Renee Paquette is with Roderick Strong. He gets upset with her when she asks him about Adam Cole, and then yells at her, and then he walks off along with the Kingdom, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. And our Rampage main event tonight, we get the video package with Mark Henry included. When we get his usual line of the week, it looks like there's been enough talk. It's time for the main event. And let's get to that main event now. Anna Jay and Taya Valkyrie taking on the team of Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale. Sky Blue in her hometown of Chicago. I know I always say this, I probably sound like a broken record, but I am a big fan of Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale. I like the team of these two too, actually. And I think they work very well together. I think that AEW could actually push these two as a tag team if they ever do come out with an AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. I think that these two could be two that you could put together. And also Anna Jay, Taya Valkyrie, both talented. They have a pretty good main event here on Rampage tonight. Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale victorious. I'd say 3 out of 5 ring bells. So overall, Rampage, I'd have to say probably about the same as SmackDown. Well, maybe go just down tiny bit. Maybe say 7 out of 10 ring bells. Still very good show for Rampage. And so that was the Friday night pro wrestling lineup. WWE Friday Night Smackdown and AEW Rampage. Had 2 good shows tonight. Kind of got me a little more excited for this big weekend of pro wrestling that we have ahead of us. And before I wrap up the podcast, get into a little bit of news. It was announced today that basketball legend for the Chicago Bulls, the San Antonio Spurs, and he played right here for the Detroit Pistons as part of the Bad Boys, will be appearing in Chicago tomorrow for AEW Saturday Collision. Of course, Rodman has made several appearances in wrestling for WCW as a part of the NWO and has wrestled a few matches as well. So it's not really that much of a surprise that Dennis Rodman is making a pro wrestling appearance, and not just Collision, but also he will be appearing at StarCast this weekend as well, the big convention promoted by Conrad Thompson. If you are attending StarCast this weekend, hope you have a great time. And feel free to send some live reports of how it is at 360 Wrestling Podcast at gmail.com. Let me know if you had a good time there. I would like to try to make it out to a StarCast at some time. And another match has been added to Impact 1000. And that match is Jake Something versus Dirty Dango. And that is all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Once again, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Hope you had a great Friday. Enjoyed Friday Night Smackdown and Rampage. Remember, if you have any questions, comments, or anything, you can leave your feedback for SmackDown and Rampage and your last minute predictions before this weekend for WWE Payback and AEW All Out in the comment section right here on Spreaker, YouTube, or whichever podcast website or app you listen to on. And like I've said, tomorrow night and Sunday got the premium live event nights ahead of us, so I will try to do live shows both Saturday and Sunday night after Payback and after All Out on Sunday. hopefully that'll work out. But first, we'll be back tomorrow morning right here for the Saturday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. And tomorrow night. And tomorrow morning, I should say, I will preview WWE Payback and AEW Saturday Collision, which is another thing I just thought of. I'm not quite sure what time I will be going live for 360 Wrestling Fanatic tomorrow night, since we'll be covering both Payback and Collision. So once I watch both Payback and Collision, I will go live for 360 Wrestling Fanatic. So stay tuned for that. And once again, that is all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. I appreciate everybody listening. We'll talk to you more tomorrow morning for Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Until then, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.